Support for this podcast comes from the law firm of Davis Malm. Whether you're a developer, property owner, manager, or commercial tenant, their real estate attorneys know the lay of the land, not just the law. Learn more at davismalm.com.
WBUR Podcasts, Boston.
I'm Simon Rios, in for Daryl C. Murphy, and you're listening to The Common. People staying in the state's emergency shelter program now have a 9-month cap on how long they can stay in shelters. That's part of the reason the state is offering English classes through a pilot program aimed at helping immigrants in shelters become self-sufficient. Joining us today is Thaís Lobo, who heads the English Works program for English for New Bostonians on behalf of the state. Later, we'll talk to Claudia Green, who runs English for New Bostonians. Thaís, it's good to have you on The Common.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Absolutely. So if you could talk about this program, it's operating in 11 shelters across Massachusetts. Talk to us about the program that you're running in the state's shelters.
So it's a ESOL class for sheltered residents. It's in partnership with the Massachusetts of Refugees and Immigrants. And we offer ESOL class in a mix of in-person with independent learning using a platform called Burlington English Platform. So we are running now 11 sites, and we're going to be on 13 sites by the end of the month. We are serving 950 residents right now, and it has been like a challenge, but at the same time, very good project that we are not just teaching them, but we are learning a lot from them as well.
Now, Thaís, you yourself graduated, as my understanding, from an English for speakers of other languages or ESL program. And now you work for the organization that offers the classes. How did you end up going from somebody who spoke almost no English to where you are now?
Oh, this is a great question. So I would say hard work. Learn a second language as an adult, it's not easy at all. You need a lot of practice and you need to have good teachers. And as soon as I got here 6 years ago, learning English was my main goal. And once I felt like comfortable with the language and with the background that I have for my home country, I was able to have the opportunity to start to work at the ENB 3 years ago as a coach. And
ENB, English for New Bostonians.
English for New Bostonians, I'm so sorry. And I am here helping other immigrants to go through this journey of learning English.
Okay, and so you're originally from Brazil,
yes,
is that right?
Yes, I am.
What part of Brazil are you from?
I am from Rio de Janeiro.
Okay. Bring us into these language classes in the emergency shelters. I visited one in Methuen. I know there's one in Dedham as well. Give us a little more of a sense of what happens inside the classes and what the people who are studying, what their stories are, why this matters to them.
The majority of the people that we are serving right now, 91% of them are from Haiti. Usually, they, of course, speak Haitian Creole and French, but some of them also speak Portuguese and Spanish, but it's great. It's kind of their mind is already open up to language acquisition. They are really eager to learn. They understand how important it is for them to learn the language and, to have it as a main goal for them to achieve their dreams. They came here to have a better life, right? And they are trying their best, even though they are going through so many sensitive situations and all the basic needs that it's so uncertain for them. So we always welcome them to class and we try to make them speak in English as much as possible. So it's a very active classroom with volunteers helping us. We are recruiting more volunteers to help us in class because when we have more than one person, more than just the teacher, we have more chance for them to practice, right, the language. And besides the language, we are also teach them computer literacy. And they feel very, grateful for that. They understand how important it is.
I want to talk about the importance for immigrants to learn English. I came across a study that found that people who speak proficient English can earn 25% to 40% more than people who do not. Why does it matter for people who are new to this country to be able to speak the lingua franca?
Oh, it means a lot. It opened doors, literally, because you have, I would say, the power to choose. And also, a lot of our students, they have good academic background. The people that we are serving, they have professional studies, what we could relate with a bachelor's degree from their home country. The English, it can be an open door for them to come back to work on their fields, the field that they choose and the field that they have the skills, the soft skills and the hard skills. So I would say that the English is the open doors for everything.
Would the English be a hard skill or is that considered a soft skill?
For them, it will be a hard skill because they are, so if you're born here, it's a soft skill. But for us as an immigrant, it's a hard skill because we need to go somewhere or to have the help from others to learn the language. It's a hard skill.
I see. What are you hearing from the shelter residents in terms of the impact of not being able to speak English on their ability to work?
Of course, it's hard to find a good job when you don't speak in English. But what we are seeing in the classroom is that they are feeling more confident. And they say to us, so I went to the mall close by and I asked for a job in the store. The learning process, the language, it's not just about the language itself, but it's about the confidence to go out and to speak up, right? Some of them, they really do understand pretty well the English, but they don't feel confident to speak up. And it's what we are also trying to build with them. And when they are able to go out from the shelter and sell themselves in English, this is a very success for us. But of course, it's a process, right? You cannot be fluent in any language just in a few months. But when they start to work, it's also important for their language acquisition because they have more chance to practice. And we see this a lot. The mix of they have the classes with us, the platform, and when they start to work in some place that they practice the language, they can ask for increase on their salary. They can see the pathway to grow.
Well, that's Thaís Lobo from English for New Bostonians. She runs the English Works program in the state's shelter system. Thanks for joining us, Thaís.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to look at the big picture of English language learning in Massachusetts with Claudia Green, who's head of English for New Bostonians.
Did you kill Marlene Johnson?
I think you're one of the first people to have actually asked.
From WBUR and ZSP Media, this is Beyond All Repair, a new podcast about an unsolved murder that will leave you questioning everything.
Somebody should be in jail for murdering my sister.
A woman who's never been believed.
As long as they think I have done this, then they're not looking for who actually did this.
And that's what makes it a cold case.
No, it's a botched case.
And a search for the truth, once and for all.
Wow, it just gets more interesting.
Beyond All Repair. Listen and follow wherever you get your podcasts.
Be careful. You're digging in a place that's been very peaceful for a while.
Do it anyway. Dig.
And we're back. We're talking about ESL classes in the state's shelter system. Now we're talking to Claudia Green, who's the head of English for New Bostonians, the nonprofit that's carrying out a pilot program in 11 of the state's shelters, emergency shelters at the moment. Claudia, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
If you would talk about the impetus for this program, the state sees ESL classes as part of a kind of exit strategy for helping people get out of the shelters. And that matters especially now that there's a 9-month cap on how long people can stay in the shelters, with some possibilities for extension. But talk to us, Claudia, about ESL as part of an exit strategy.
Absolutely. We're so thrilled to be able to work with the state on getting this program up. And we do understand it to be part of the broader strategy I think for residents themselves as well as for the state, right? To be able to learn English and to be able to get a better job and be able to move out of the shelters. And the other part of that strategy is to gain work authorization. The work authorization is actually moving pretty fast, surprisingly. Of the people that we're serving across the 11 sites so far, about 3/4 of them already have their work authorization, which is an amazing feat, right? And that's been a huge effort, I think, by the state with the assistance of, the federal government and so many attorneys and others on the ground. So that's a huge step forward. And so the next piece of that, or the accompanying piece of that, is for people to learn English and to get assistance to get into the job market. And Massachusetts needs them, right? We have a very low unemployment rate. We have a very tight labor market, and the jobs are there, and we just need to be able to help people connect. And so that's why the focus of the program that we're doing through this English Works program is really, it's occupationally focused. It's really about helping people to explain themselves to a potential employer and to be able to maneuver through scenarios at work and be able to speak to customers and coworkers and supervisors, and just to really be able to get into the workforce. And once people are out there, in the workforce, they're going to learn more English automatically, right? Because they're going to be speaking more along the way as they go, speaking to other folks at work and in their work environment.
If you could talk about what comes next. This current program in the shelters is a pilot intended to last for 12 weeks, and it expires next month. What's happening after that point?
So I cannot speak for the state, but I know that they are doing all that they can to be able to allocate resources to be able to provide opportunities for people to learn English, the same as those who are involved in the pilot that we're working on, and to be able to continue past June 30th. And they have already allocated some resources for next year to be able to expand. Pretty sure it's not enough. It's not going to be enough to be able to reach everyone, but I think they're doing the best that they can. And I would say that, for anyone that's listening that may run a foundation or be a donor, that more support is needed. And I would also say, the need for volunteers is huge, right? I've been amazed to see how many people have stepped up, really wanting to support newcomers in coming to Massachusetts, to be a really welcoming state. And that's been so inspiring to us to be able to expand the resources right for the ESL program itself. More are needed to be able to allow more people to advance in classes and to be able to participate.
There's a long wait list for people trying to study English as a second language in Massachusetts.
Right.
I believe that the number is over 20,000 people on a wait list. Talk about that. Is that a capacity issue or a funding issue? And how do you solve the problem?
Whew, that's a big question. The truth is that there are probably more than 500,000 people in Massachusetts that really need English classes to thrive in the labor market. So the actual need is great. The number that you mentioned, the 20,000, that represents people who have gone and put their name on a wait list at a state-funded ESL program. Whatever the math is there, that's only a fraction of the people who actually need a class. I think that it's a resource issue. I think it's a capacity issue. Each year there's advocacy around the state budget to increase the amount, the funding for ESL classes. To be able to provide good quality English classes, it's expensive. Used to be, we would say, for every person in a class, there's another one on a wait list. But now there's more on the wait list than there are in classes. When you think about the infusion of, another 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people who have recently come into the state and added to the need and the demand is even greater, we've gotten whomped, right? And we're building capacity. We're building the plane as we fly it. That's what's really made this so incredibly difficult, and a challenge and an opportunity to have an enormous impact on those who we're welcoming into the state. We're a right to shelter state, but we're also an incredibly welcoming state. And I think that people have really risen to the challenge beyond state-funded classes. Again, you see volunteers and community-based groups stepping up to be able to meet this need.
Well, Claudia Green, Executive Director for English for New Bostonians, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for this opportunity.
And that's our show for today. Thanks so much for listening to The Common. Daryl C. Murphy is back in the host chair tomorrow. But for now, from the newsroom of WBUR, I'm Simon Rios. Talk to you later.